Welcome to You Can Call Me Goddess because you're so much more than a queen. My name is Manouk Vink. I am a trained intuitive energy healer specialized in transforming your body and your life. In this podcast, we are going to be diving into everything to unlock the goddess that you are within you. Think of it as the ultimate glow up from the inside out. It's time to unlock your power. It's time to unlock your magic. So sit back and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. And in today's episode, I want to dive into something that has been coming up probably for you, and it has for me. And because the holiday season is coming up, or for some of you, it has already started. Some of you celebrating Thanksgiving. Maybe you just had it, depending on when I release this. I think I'm going to release it after Thanksgiving. But I still feel like this is going to bring you a lot of value. And what I want to talk about today is actually triggers and dealing with reflections from family members and situations in your family and how to navigate this, because I know that we all have these situations in our family, and it can be very tricky when we are all coming together, excited to celebrate things together. But when there is a bunch of strong personalities like I have in my family, in your family, it can be tricky. It starts triggering old wounds that you may have, old patterns that you fall back into from childhood, and also the triggers can be intense. So although it's one of my favorite times of year, although we all, a lot of us, not everybody, look forward to this time of year, it can be a very anxiety-inducing time of year for some of us, especially, which I want to maybe dive into a little bit as well, especially when I was really focused on my training and nutrition. And there are two components to that. But when I was really focused on my training and my nutrition, I would panic about the food and about staying on track. So there are a lot of components that, when we come together with family and we celebrate, there's a lot of fun. But there's a lot of triggers going on as well. And there's a lot of things that are being pulled out or shown that maybe you don't want to feel again or more. But there's also a reason that that's happening. And I want to dive into that today. And I want to give you a little heads up. This is all to empower you. This is all because I know you're extremely powerful. So when we get together and we get influenced from other people's ideas and thoughts and belief systems, it sometimes gets us to feel less than rather than more powerful. And I want to shift that perspective, because when you realize and when you start understanding the spiritual laws of the universe, you start having a better understanding of how the universe works, how your energetic field works, and how everything is designed exactly for you. You start realizing that even these situations are designed to help you grow. But when we can't look at it with that perspective, it's difficult, right? Because we don't see that. We just feel more down and deflated, and it gets harder. But when we can change our perspective, it actually makes it a more empowering situation. And as you know by now, when we want growth, we get obstacles. We get obstacles so that we can grow through the obstacles and step into that newer, better version of ourselves. So if you don't know that already, this is your rude awakening, that when you ask for growth, when you ask for more, when you ask for things, you want to expand and be a better version of yourself, you are going to get an obstacle to put that to the test, to get yourself to grow into those situations. So I'm going to use some of the examples that I've experienced with family. I'm going to dive into how triggers are actually a way for you to lean into them and see where you are still feeling an imbalance. So that's what I want to dive into today, because I know when I get together with my family, I get very excited. I know it's a lot of fun, but also me and my family have a lot of opposing views on a lot of things. There's a lot of strong characters with strong belief systems in our family and strong opinions. And also they are obviously reflective. So if you have been listening to the podcast for a while now, or you have an idea of how reflections work, this is what happens. So your body reflects to you where there's an imbalance, but also your environment reflects to you where there's an imbalance. And basically, you have your energetic body, your creator field, which dictates all matter, situation, and circumstance around you. So your thoughts and your belief systems have an effect on your energetic field. That energetic field dictates how people respond to you. You're basically handing out a script to people on what they need to be saying to you. So how that works, it's when you have a high emotion about something, it has a 63% effect on your creator field, so your energetic body. And that's basically when you're interacting with someone and you feel their energy, you are reading that. You are reading the script that they are basically handing out. You're reading their energy, you're reading what they believe about themselves, and you're going to reflect back what they need in that moment. So it is all part of growth, right? So we haven't actually, I don't know if we've dived into the relationship, like if you were with a partner, how they can be extremely reflective. I'm not sure, but maybe we'll do that in another podcast. But basically, I'll give you a little disclaimer, how it works, especially the people closest to you. When you have a belief system about something, your higher self or the universe wants you to be fully rooted to that, wants you to fully land in that belief system. So what happens when you have a belief about something and you come to your family? What happens most of the time? Well, most of the time, I don't know about you, but for me, at least, they start challenging the belief system that I have. They start poking holes in where I am not rooted to what I believe. So let me use without getting too political. Let's play it a little safer for today. We'll use my bodybuilding experience now looking back. So I was competing for a I was prepping for a bodybuilding competition. And when I first started, obviously, like I was doing very extreme diets, very extreme things, but I believed in it at that time, right? So what happens when you're in that situation and you are not fully rooted to the belief system? So there's still some questions about how things are working and you're not really sure if this is the right way to approach certain things. And you have those questions that you have within you. Basically, when your higher self wants you to root to your decision or the universe wants you to be more solid in what you believe and the decisions that you're making, and wants you to be more solid in choosing yourself over others, right? Choosing yourself so that you can be of better service to others. What will start happening when you're in a relationship dynamic, especially with family or people close to you, they are going to find the holes in your energy where you still are not fully rooted to what you believe and start testing them. And that's by design, because what you want to achieve out of that is actually for you to root more to your belief system. It's also to show you that there is still something that you need to shift or you need to work through to fully land in the belief system that you have. So I'll give you an example, like a simple, easy, quick example, not a very high stakes example, but still one that could be triggering. When you are, for example, competing in a bodybuilding competition or you're prepping for that, you're gonna get a lot of comments because you're doing something that's out of the ordinary. And we'll get to the work that I'm doing now as well. That's also obviously out of the ordinary, quote unquote. Like if you see me right now, I'm doing quotation marks, out of the ordinary. We think it's weird because it's not natural or, but let's be real. The crazier you are, probably the more, well, depends how you phrase that. The craziest ideas are often the most, how do you say, life-changing ideas, right? It's like people don't like to step out of the norm because it also shows them where they are not taking a leap of faith or where they are not trusting. And so think of any genius, right? They were called crazy before they were called a genius. And yeah, that's a podcast that I've already done a whole podcast on, and you can go check that out. It's like, I think it's called They Call You Crazy Until They Get It, if they don't. But what I want to say here, we're going to go back to this scenario, right? So with a bodybuilding competition, you have a very extreme diet majority of the time. Well, you do. And so I don't know anybody in the fitness world, if they've experienced this, if you've ever done any extreme sports or changed your diet or decided to, dedicate yourself to a sport or getting into shape, the questions about protein, oh my goodness, there's always this weird stigma around you shouldn't eat so much protein. Your kidneys can't filter it. Like, it's bad for you. It's going to affect you in a negative way. Should you be eating that much protein? Should it really be that extreme? So you're going to get all of these questions. And especially because I also stopped drinking at that time for my competition. And oh my goodness, the side eye, the looks that I would get when we would sit down and order drinks and I wouldn't order alcohol. It's like, oh, there she goes again and not ordering alcohol. And like immediately the thought of being extreme. But why was that happening? Because somewhere I believed I was being extreme. Somewhere I was questioning if the things that I was doing were right, if there was something that I need to shift. And so what I'm trying to explain to you here, even just your relationship, right? At home, your partner, your boyfriend, anybody close to you, even if you have a housemate, a best friend, a lot of the time, the closer they are, the more intense the reflections will be. And the more of a match you are as well. And so with family, obviously they're very triggering, right? They can be very triggering because they will pinpoint exactly the things that you are unsure about. And they will pull that thread and get you all riled up about it. That you want to actually disengage, you want to not talk to them, and you start questioning yourself, right? So with these decisions, obviously they would pinpoint these things. And they would start making me question about the decisions that I was making, because that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to get you more rooted to the decisions that you make, to see if you're going to waver on the beliefs that you have, right? So that's what happens when you're with family members. They are going to pinpoint and question these things. And this is your time to prove to yourself that you will stand strong and still choose what you believe in. Not only that, it is showing you where you could still root to your belief system more. So land in what you believe more. So what they're going to pinpoint in situations, so here, this is just one example, right? In these situations is where you are still feeling an imbalance, where you are still feeling you don't trust or know or believe fully what you are saying. This is for you to notice where the imbalance lies and to work on that so that you can be more solid in your belief systems. Because the more solid you are in your belief systems and the more solid you are rooted to the decisions that you are making and the steps you are taking and the dream you are following, the less they are going to question that. They are going to support you. So for example, the beginning of when I stopped drinking alcohol, I was still questioning if I should have a drink or not. And by the way, I still have a Prosecco here and there. But I don't drink the majority of the time. This is just to let you know, like, how I work with alcohol. But basically, when it came to my bodybuilding competition, I quit then because it wasn't great. Well, I wasn't allowed to drink to get into the shape that I wanted to get into for the competition. And ever since, I basically I used to drink a lot. So because my families they like to enjoy a glass of wine. They like to indulge a little bit, mainly in wine and beer and things like that. So that was a massive shift for my family to see that I wouldn't drink. And it took me to be strong and land and make sure that, this is what I wanted. This is what I believed in. So I was going to stop. Now, a couple years down the road, they don't even question it anymore. They offer me non-alcoholic beverages. And then when I do have a drink, they're just happy when I do have a drink, because we're going to get into that later, actually. So just to show you the difference. But of course, that doesn't mean that my family still doesn't poke holes in the belief systems that I have. 1000%. Now, a lot of the time, it has to do with certain political belief systems, because my belief systems are the opposite of my family's. So that's always fun. And then, of course, the work that I'm doing, being an intuitive, being an energy healer, not everybody can identify with that or can fully land in that. So you're going to get questions, especially if you're a higher frequency being like me, like you. If you're listening to this, you're probably a higher frequency being. Otherwise, you wouldn't be drawn to these podcasts and this information. But you are going to not always feel like you belong. I've had that a lot of times where I felt kind of out of place because your belief systems and the way that you look at things is a lot different than the majority of people. And that has to do with the fact that your soul has experienced so much, and you know on a deeper level there's more. There's more meant for you. There is magic somehow out there. There is more to life. And so you are going to have situations to get you to expand that more, but also to land in those belief systems more. And that's when you do get called crazy. And that's when you do get people having opinions about the decisions that you make. Believe me, they have so many opinions about the decisions that I make. I know that for a fact. And I proudly embrace that because it's led me to where I am today. And I prefer having a fun life and kind of like, I like taking the risk and seeing where my life is going to land instead of living a life that I'm not happy with, you know? Like, why not take the risk and believe in magic and believe in all of this and then create that world? Because that's how it works. That's how it works. That's what you attract. If you believe in it, that's what you attract. And anyways, that's another take that I want to take. Like, if you want to explain it to someone, it's like, it's my decision how I view my life, right? So if I want to view my life and see my life as magical and amazing, my universe is a lot more fun than if there is none of that existing. And I just know that it does exist. So, you know, because you are magic. We hold the magic and we have that ability to create with our creator field. I've seen the proof in my life. So don't tell me that it's not true, because it's true. At least, you know, in my reality, it's 1000% true. In your reality, it's 1000% true. It's just how rooted you are to it. Anyways, now I'm going on a tangent. But what I want to say is that is what's going to happen. They are going to pinpoint exactly where you still have doubt about the things that you believe in. And that's going to challenge you to stay rooted in your belief systems. And why that's going to challenge you? Because these are moments when you decide, for example, to follow your dream. Like I have multiple times. I have multiple times gone against the grain, gone against what my family, what society deems the right decision, right? I've taken leaps of faith. I've done things that normally I didn't want to do the 9 to 5 because I knew that that was not meant for me. I didn't want to do a master's degree, even though I got my bachelor's degree, and I could have easily done a master's degree, but I knew that that was not part of what I needed to do to achieve the results that I wanted to achieve in my life. That was not part of the journey that I needed to walk to reach the people that I needed to. It was just not part of what I was meant to be doing. I didn't want to do it. So in those moments, I had to choose myself. I chose myself. I prioritized what I felt my dream was and followed the path that I felt my soul wanted to walk instead of what other people wanted me to do. And I'm sure you've been at a crossroads where you've had that feeling before. And these are the moments when you're with your family that is going to be challenged most. And I know because it's been happening to me for so many years. When I decided to do a bodybuilding competition, when I decided to quit my 9 to 5, when I decided to not do my master's, when I decided to move to the UK to study there instead of I've always had my own plan and I wanted to do my own plan. There have been multiple, when I decided to move here where I am right now, I'm right now in Serbia, and just start my business here and live my life here. And it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made. But people are going to give you weird looks. You are going to get feedback on where you are feeling insecure about your decision, to test if you can land in that decision, if you can fully root to that decision, to show you where you're still lacking the belief and the rooting. Because when you lack the belief and the rooting, that is where people can still question you. And the more you're rooted to the decisions and the beliefs that you have, the less people will question you and the more people will listen to what you have to say. And if you know how this works and you start getting a better understanding of how this works, what that does, it allows you to build more trust with people. Because if you trust in the decisions you make and you believe in the decisions you make and you know and are rooted to what you believe in, then that's how people will perceive you. They will trust the decisions you make. They will trust what you believe in. They will trust the things that you are doing. And that is obviously good for relationships, for your business, for your financial decisions, for all of that, because all it does is amplifies that trust, that belief in self, and other people will reflect that back at you. So the holes that you still have where you're feeling insecure, that's where your family members are going to poke into. That's where people closest to you are going to poke into. This is to serve you. This is to help you. This is to help you realize, oh shit, I still have something to shift there. There's still a belief system that I'm not fully rooted to there. Okay? So let's change the perspective. If you're feeling anxious about family members and situations and coming together with a family and then poking holes or asking questions about things that you don't want questions about, change the perspective. See, oh, I'm so curious about what they're going to poke out, because this is going to show me where I can shift so that I can become more solid in my decision. That is why I also want to say, don't let them rock the boat. Don't let them get you to question if you're making the right decisions. This is all so that you can prove to yourself that the decision that you are making is the right decision for you. Unless, of course, there is a situation where you know in your gut it isn't the right decision. That's another story. They could also be reflecting that back at you. But this is for the people that know they're following their soul path, soul pull. They're taking a leap of faith. And they know that they're doing something that they've dreamed of. They know that they are doing things that they believe in. You are going to get questioned on that. I guarantee it. Because they're going to pick out the exact thing that you're not sure about. And this is your chance to root to that more and to shift that. Okay? If you're not sure about something and it's really something that you know is not to do with your path, obviously with intuition, it's a lot easier because you can check whether you're meant to be taking an action or not. But your family will reflect back at you where there are still question marks, and you can work through those question marks by seeing what your family has to say to you. So that is the one thing that I want you to shift your perspective on. They are here to get you to root more. They are here to challenge your ideas so that you can be sure about the idea that you have, and also not to be sure that you're not going to waver, right? Because any doubt that you have, that's what other people are going to pick up on. So we want to filter out those doubts so that you are solid and strong in what you believe in and in what you want to achieve. And when you're solid and strong in that, people who want to invest in you, people who you want to work with, your relationships, they are all going to see that solidity and they are going to believe in you, and you're going to get that support, right? So this is all to serve you. And that is what I want you to realize. I know it's easier said than done, but that is also why there are techniques, energetic techniques, to be able to shield off your other people's thoughts and make sure that you have your own thoughts. Already, if you can start questioning out loud if these thoughts are your own, and repeat that to yourself 3 times. And if you realize that the thought disappears, that is a sign that the thought was not yours. This is one technique. There are multiple energy techniques to make sure that your energy is yours, your thoughts are yours, and the decisions that you are making are yours. But we'll get to that a little bit later. We do that what I'll say is we do that in some of the programs. I teach you in the Goddess Academy how to shield your energy and make sure that you are making decisions that are true to yourself and you're not being influenced by other people's thoughts and opinions. Because I also want to give you this when you're going into a family setting, and even when you're just walking around in general, outside, or even in your building, we are very energetic beings. We are a lot more intuitive than we know. We just don't know how to pick up on the intuition. We don't know how to filter it out unless you train your intuition, which literally changes your life when you can do that. But 95% of the thoughts that you have are not yours. They are other people's belief systems and thoughts that you are picking up on, like a frequency, like a radio wave that is coming in. And you're picking up on one word that says doubt. And then you start looking at all the places where you doubt yourself. So the thoughts, especially obviously when they're close to you and they're strong thoughts, they are going to impact how you view things. This is important to know because I want you to realize and use the tool to see if the thought is yours or not. When you're feeling anxiety, when you're questioning things, just remember 95% of the thoughts that you're having aren't yours unless you have the tools to filter them out. So The doubt that you're experiencing could be your grandma's or your mom's or your sister's or your brother's, right? Or your dad's. So before you jump ship or before you start questioning whether what you want to do is the right thing or questioning the beliefs that you have, this is where you go, oh my God, maybe I'm picking up on someone else's ideas. And again, with intuition, you can just ask. You can ask and you can still make sure that you're making the right choices, right? Second thing that I want to, which kind of links in very nicely with everything that we're saying, triggers. Boy, when you're with your family, can it be freaking triggering? I don't know about you, but I for sure have had Christmases where I flipped the fuck out. And it was like the last straw. And I exploded. It's like silently sitting, taking it all in. And then they say that one thing and you're like, ah, and you just break out and you're just like, you know what? Fuck you and this and blah, blah, blah. I've had it. Believe me, I've had it. Even if you're just like boiling under the surface and you're not letting it out, it's there. What we can learn about triggers. Here is something that I want you to realize. First of all, how you treat yourself is how others will treat you. Number one. So if people are treating you negatively or they are questioning things or they're judging you or they're being overly critical of you, that means you're treating yourself like that somewhere in one of the 8 areas of life or in one area of life. Just start seeing. So when someone treats you in a way that you do not like, ask yourself, instead of pointing the finger at them, how am I treating myself that way? Second thing I want you to realize, what someone is saying, wow, I said that so loud, what someone is saying has to do with how they feel about themselves. So if they're expressing that, aren't you insecure about the decisions you're making in your work or in your relationship? This is something that they most likely are insecure about, right? And they are reflecting that to you. They are projecting that onto you. However, how it triggers you, how it makes you feel, and the bigger the trigger, the more you need to dive into this. So let me just explain that in a second. How it makes you feel has to do with you. So if someone's questioning me about the decisions that I'm making and I feel attacked, right? Or unsupported, or like I don't have trust or they don't trust me. Where am I lacking trust in self? Where am I attacking myself? Where am I not believing in myself? That's the questions you're going to ask. And the bigger the reaction, the bigger the trigger, the more that is something you need to work through. So whenever you're triggered, you can immediately become grateful for it, because you can be like, oh my God, this is the universe showing me, this is my higher self showing me that there's something I need to work through here, because otherwise I wouldn't be so affected. Think about it. When someone says to you something rude, right? Like, have you gained weight? Well, again, it's perception. It could be rude to some people. For other people, it couldn't. Or like they say something to you or I don't know. I don't even know how to explain this. But if someone says something to you and you are not affected by that, there is no trigger, so you feel solid and you're like, no, definitely not, then you're not going to be affected by it. But when it does affect you, right, that means that there is still a trigger. There's a self-image doubt there that you need to work through. An example that I had of that was like years ago. It's already years ago. Time is flying. I was working in the gym and I was giving a class. And I had this one lady, this French lady that I was training. I'm just going to give you an example of how this works. And we finished the class and I was heavier then, a little heavier, a little more muscular then than I am now, because I've leaned out a bit, because I worked through all the, the emotional root causes and imbalances in my body that were still holding on to certain weight and things like that. But that aside, we finish the class and she looks at my legs and she asks me if my legs are real. She says, "Are those real?" She points at my legs and I'm like, "My legs?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, they're real." Such a weird question, right? And I was so confused. And then she goes, "Oh, okay. It's very in here, huh? It's like a trend to have big legs here." And girl, when I tell you that I am like, the thing about my body that I've been most insecure about my whole life are my legs, because I've always seen them as bigger. And they are more muscular. They are stronger. They are bigger. I guess it depends how you look at it, but they're just strong, right? And back then I was training them a lot more. So they were muscular. And I was like, I guess. And she goes, "Oh yeah, because in France, we're still all training to get a thigh gap." Obviously ridiculous, because you can't train to get a thigh gap, and ridiculous, right? And I was like, okay, it was the weirdest interaction ever. But what I realized in that moment, and even though I still had to work through it because there was still a part of me that was kind of affected, small part, but I remember realizing in that moment, oh, normally this would have affected me so much, right? I would have been really affected by this comment. I would have started looking in the mirror, checking if my legs are really big, checking all my poses, all of this, all of that. But now, because I had worked through a lot of my insecurities around that, it didn't really affect me that much. And I kind of laughed because it was just such a weird situation. So just to show you, right, the more affected you are, the more you still need to work through something, because it's showing me an insecurity, right? If I'm checking my legs and asking people, do my legs look big? Do I look big in this? Like, if you start asking those questions and you start wondering and you're affected and you're thinking about it all day, a lot of the time that means there's still something to work through there. So, and when you work through that, you actually start landing more in who you are, and you start shifting. Sometimes I swear I have a speech impediment. So my brain just goes faster than my mouth. But it's a sign that there's something to root to more. There's something that you can shift there more, so that you can fully land in seeing your value and your beauty and your strength. So be grateful for the triggers. When you are with your family, be grateful for the triggers, because those triggers are showing you where there is still an imbalance, right? If you're triggered, maybe not in the moment because it can be difficult in the moment, but take a moment after and be like, oof, why did that trigger me so much? What is it that I need to shift? Triggers are a gift because they are showing you where you're still lacking belief in self, where you're still lacking belief in what you're working towards, where you still need to shift something in your energy to get you to fully land in it. And how it actually works is your ego is like a bodyguard. It wants you to feel good in the moment. It doesn't want you to feel good long term. It's more like, let's make her feel good right now. So let's protect her from going deeper into this. So the bigger the reaction, it's a deflection. It's like, no, this is not true about me. But in reality, when we look deeper and we connect with the subconscious mind, that is actually showing you that there is something to shift there. And your subconscious mind is a lot more powerful in creating and changing your environment. It is 90 to 95% responsible for creating your belief systems and your reality around you and affecting your energetic field and how people interact with you. The conscious mind, so where the ego is responding to the input that it's getting, and it's trying to protect you to make you feel good short term, is only responsible for 5 to 10%. So we really need to lock it into your mind, the belief systems that you have. We really need to root to them. So these are the moments where you're going to be most challenged in rooting and believing in what you believe in, and in the decisions that you're making, and in the path that you are following. So the bigger the reaction, that's your ego acting up, which means this is something where we need to dive into deeper. This is where a block is that is holding you back. This is an anchor that is keeping you from moving forward. So we need to remove and release those anchors and shift through them and start seeing the deeper root cause of why you're responding like that. What is causing this to happen? And when we do that, you actually start opening up your energy and you start shifting and rooting more in your power, in your true self, opening up the beliefs that you have within you, which is going to shift your entire energy. So these triggering moments are a gift. They are a gift to get you to land more in what you believe in. All right. And there's so many more things that you can do with family members and things like that. There are so many tips and tricks. Like, the thing is, we often really want others to see our perspective, right? But as you do when your family speaks to you, we're going to have more resistance to what our families say to us because they know us from a completely different angle than other people that just meet you. It's hard for them to let go of the idea they have of you, because that's how they have always perceived you. So when you're coming in hot with new ideas and beliefs and things like that, they are going to challenge you, and that is a beautiful moment for growth. But when you are trying to convince them of something that they are not ready to hear, they are not ready to root to, when you push ideas and belief systems on them, you're actually making it harder for them to actually be able to land and believe in it. So when you're having conflicting ideas and beliefs about situations, it is better to ask questions about how they feel about it and be open to seeing their perspective, lean into them, but get them to question certain things in a playful, inquisitive, encouraging way, but also leading by example and showing how you're changing your life through making certain decisions is probably going to bring about a bigger shift, because I've seen that in my relationship where I wanted to really share my perspective on things. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to change your life. But because I was like so excited and wanted to push my partner into seeing these things, he was very resistant to them. When you start just kind of showing the life change and the things that start shifting in your life as a result of the work that you're doing, as a result of the shifts that you're making, they're going to start asking questions about it, and they're going to want to know more about it, which is what happened with me. And they are going to, from their own decision, following the path that you are taking because they're seeing the success. This is just a quick explanation of that. There's so much more that you can dive into with these, but these are difficult skills, especially when you are with family, right? When you are with family, and it can be triggering, it can be emotional. It is very hard to be able to communicate certain things because they are going to bring up those old traumas, trauma responses, like, shutting down. I used to shut down, or not knowing what to say, or just, pushing it away instead of going into it, or just seeing this as a perfect moment, seeing the perfection in what is happening right now, and seeing how this is all part of your growth, is all part of you landing in who you are, and you are creating all the interactions. When you start realizing your energy creates all these interactions because of you not being rooted in something enough, so your energy and your higher self wants you to root to it more, wants you to fully land in your belief systems, this is what it's showing you. And I know there's a lot that, we can dive into in this topic because it is such an interesting topic. And that is why it's actually so important in these moments with family to use it like as a training in how rooted you are in your belief systems, because they can rock you. They can rock you if you don't know how to do that. They can start, if you're not solid in the decisions that you're making or you're questioning them, they can make you more insecure about the decisions if you don't know the right tools or you don't have the right understandings of how all of this works. And I wanted to give you that information so that you don't get rocked, that you don't get pushed off of your soul path, soul pull. Well, okay. This is me getting technical because you're not being pushed off. You're pushing yourself off by letting other people, getting you to question these things. If you can start seeing it as feedback on your energetic field on where you still need to root and see that as a very empowering thing, that's going to allow you to shift more and actually have more success in the decisions that you make. So I just wanted to give you that before the holiday season, which is coming up very soon. And I wanted to show you that you can use these things to your advantage. You can start shifting more. You can start creating more. You can start seeing and using this as a tool of where you still need to shift your energetic field and where you still need to root to the things that you are doubting in. And I just want to close off this podcast today with the fact that for that reason, if you want to dive deeper into this, I am hosting a Merry Vibes Only is what I'm calling it, Christmas Healing, where we are going to dive deeper into all of this. You can ask questions around this. And on top of that, we are going to I'm going to be doing a contagion healing to filter out your thoughts and make sure that your energy is clear of other people's beliefs, other people's thoughts, that you're only making true self decisions, and that you can land in these situations more so that you have a great Christmas and that you can work through this and get you more solid in the decisions that you're making and actually get you more rooted to the soul path, soul pull decisions that you are making and become more grounded and solid in who you are. Plus, have an amazing Christmas without all the drama and without all the triggers. And even if the triggers are there, you can start seeing how they are actually helping you get to where you want to be. And that is why I'm hosting the Merry Vibes Only Christmas Healing. If you are interested, please reach out. I might just reach out. I think reach out to info@nukegoddessacademy.com. I will link the email below. If you have any questions, also reach out. For those of you in my membership, the link is sent out to your emails. If you have any questions, just reply to one of those emails and I will help you figure your path out to get that. And we are going to get you all set up to handle the Christmas anxiety like a boss and become even more powerful as a result of that and get the skills and tools out of it and also have just the best time this Christmas without the anxiety. So if you're ready for that, just let me know. I wanted to give you a little bit of information because I know you can do this. I know you're powerful. I know you can use these situations as to your advantage. I don't want you to get thrown off by stressful, triggering moments. I want you to see them as your higher self testing your level of rootedness and belief in the decisions that you are making so that you can be even more rooted in self-love, in the decisions that you're making for yourself and in your self-image, which, as you should know by now, are the core of your manifestations and your dreams coming to life. Thank you so much for listening to another podcast of the You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. Let us know what you think about it. Also, feel free if you want me to dive into any other topics more or you want more information on other things, please email us or comment below. I would love your feedback. I am doing these to get you to step into your power more because I know you're powerful and I want you to have the tools at your disposal to reach everything that you desire in your life. Anyways, beauty, thank you for listening and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening to You Can Call Me Goddess. I am so happy that you joined us in this show today. If you feel like this podcast gave you any sort of life change or value, then share it with someone you think would also get a lot of value out of it. Because maybe it could just be that one thing that changes that person's life. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a nice rating below or in the show because we would love to expand more on topics that you enjoy and keep this podcast up and running. Anyways, thank you, beautiful, and I hope to see you in the next podcast.